Hello champions! Welcome to the next episode of Stuey's Kitchen. I have nothing to say beforehand, so let's grip it and rip it and start making some cinnamon scrolls. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is get 115 grams of melted butter and pour that into a bowl, and then immediately add 450 grams of warm milk. You want the milk to be warm because otherwise the butter will solidify and you're going to have a horrible mess, and you really don't want to deal with that. So once the milk is in there, just give it a quick stir to try to mix the butter and milk together. And then while stirring, you want to add in 100 grams of granulated sugar. When that is all stirred through, add 7 grams of yeast. Give it another quick stir, and we are then going to leave it for 1 minute. Okay, now that you've left it for a minute, grab a bowl with 500 grams of flour in it and just add your yeast, butter, milk mixture to that, scraping as much of the yeast that sucks the bowl out, and then just give that a really good stir. Okay, once you finish stirring, you should have something that looks like that. Whoop. And what we're going to do now is we are going to cover that with a tea towel and leave it for 1 hour. I'll catch you in an hour, guys. Bye. All right, everyone. We are on to the next stage of the cinnamon rolls. So what we're going to do, take off your tea towel, get another 95 grams of plain flour, put that in, 3 grams of baking powder, and 6 grams of salt. You then want to grab your spoon and just mix this all back together. Alright, so it is now mixed together. Should look something like that. The next step is we're going to get some more plain flour, put it down on our bench, give it a bit of a spread out, and then we're going to grab this dough and put it on our bench. Give it a quick knead together just to make sure everything is nicely mixed. Okay, now that we have kneaded our dough, the next thing you want to do is roll it out into a rough rectangle shape. So grab your rolling pin. If you don't have one, feel free to improvise. Beer bottles, wine bottles, probably could even use a Scotch bottle. There is no judgment here in Stuey's Kitchen. Make sure to turn the dough regularly just so it doesn't stick to the bench, and just roll out. So now that we have our dough in a rectangle, what you want to do is get 70 grams of butter and soften it. So basically it wants to look like some sort of spreadable form of butter, funnily enough, because we're about to spread it. Okay, now that we have spread out all our butter, what we want to do is get 165 grams of brown sugar and just gently sprinkle it all over the butter the butter dough mixture. Now that we've got the sugar down, what we're going to do now is get about 20 grams of cinnamon, and we're going to sprinkle it all over the sugar. Cinnamon is quite potent, so don't go too overboard with adding extra, because otherwise you're just going to overpower your sugars in the dough and the mix and the brown sugar, and all you're going to be tasting is cinnamon. And while some people might like it, not just for me. Okay, now cinnamon is all over the sugar. So what we're going to do now is get a normal spoon, and using the rounded back, just push everything down just so it sticks a bit nicer when we do the rolling. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to get the edge closest to us, and we're just going to start gently rolling it over. And then we're going to keep rolling until it's all rolled up into one giant log. Now that it's rolled up, roll it back so the other side is on the top. And what we're going to do now is just gently push it down, melding it in with the other dough so we have a bit of a seam, just so hopefully this stays together a little bit nicer when we do the cutting and when we do the cooking. So the next step is we're going to cut it in half, and then each half we're going to cut to make 7 individual scrolls. So half, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One, 2, 3, 5, 6. So the next part of the recipe calls us to use 2 of these spring form cake trays to put it in, but every single time I've made this, mixture has leaked out from the bottom, gone to the bottom of my oven, and set off every single smoke alarm in my house, so I am determined not to do it this time. So what I'm going to do, get a normal baking tray, put some baking paper at the bottom, and just pile it full of scrolls. Is it a smart idea to try something new while on video? No. Will it work? I can guarantee yes, because if it doesn't, you won't see it. All right, let's do this. So, now we should have something like this. If you do it this method, I'd recommend just having some baking paper at the end so you can easily lift this out when they're done. We are then going to let this rest for another half an hour. And while this is resting, please put your ovens onto 180 degrees Celsius to warm up. So we've let the cinnamon scrolls rest for about half an hour. That's something that looks like that. Next step is to put it in your preheated oven for 20 to 25 minutes. So let's do that now, and we'll catch you when it comes out of the oven. All right, champions. So taking the cinnamon scrolls out of the oven, let them cool, and you should have something that looks like this. Looking good. And as a plus for me, no smoke alarm went off. So next step and the final step is to make the icing. So what we want to do is get 130 grams of icing sugar and put in the bowl 55 grams of cream cheese, 35 grams of melted butter, and 35 grams of milk. Give this a bit of a stir to mix in the cream cheese. Hopefully the warmth of the butter will help melt that through. So you should now have something that looks roughly like that. Woo. And the next step and the final step is to put in some vanilla extract. So I am using organic vanilla bean paste, as you can see here. According to this, 1 teaspoon of paste is 1 pod or teaspoon of vanilla extract. Perfect. So you probably want about a teaspoon-ish. Give it just a bit of a... probably more. But everyone loves vanilla. So pour that in. And give that another good mix through. So it's all mixed through. The very, very last thing you want to do is get this bad boy on top of your scrolls. So just start pouring it across. And there you have it. Some somewhat ugly, but very delicious cinnamon scrolls. Catch you next time.